Welcome, YouTubers. As we get ready to launch the podcast, everybody stand by. We got a fun show for you tonight. How do you like the new intro music there?
As I was saying earlier, we need to be outside on a hill with the wind hitting us, just mean mugging the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, I sort of feel that way too when that music comes on. It's pretty cool.
What is mean mugging?
That's I don't know. That's Megan's African booty scratching music.
I hear it.
Excuse me, sir. I have more rhythm than that. Thank you.
Can we say that?
Thank you.
Online? Can we say that on air?
You can't. I mean,
you
you
can say
just
whatever
did.
you want.
Okay. Well,
It is your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
that's true. That's true. It is my podcast. Scary thought, isn't it?
Welcome. It is Wednesday, June 27th. Special guests in the house tonight again. We're just bringing it. To everybody. Here it comes. Mad Mandy.
Yeah. Mad Bandy's rushing through everybody. She almost made it.
The incredible shrinking woman. She's losing a lot of weight.
I know.
Yeah, speaking of Mad Mandy, a special person told me that tonight we need to bring back the Behotch of the week.
Yeah, we do.
Mm-hmm.
And that we need to give it to Amanda.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we do.
So we were 110% today officially bringing back the Behotch of the week.
You didn't let me say it.
No, you're not allowed to say it.
You mess it up.
You mess it up, and then we get in trouble.
Not every time.
We don't really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, if you don't know Amanda Cargile, I think that's how you say her name. She started jiu-jitsu with me about 2 years ago, and I'm not quite sure how much she weighed. I'm not gonna guess because that's how I get in trouble with stuff. But all I know is that she has lost over 30 pounds since she started jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And has increased her cardio, her strength, her conditioning. She got her blue belt in jiu-jitsu. She's competed I don't know how many times, and is just doing phenomenal. She's kicking ass. So congratulations, Mandy. And notice that I waited till you walked out of the building, therefore I didn't have to give you the award.
No coins for you.
No
but
coins for
also,
you.
who else do you know is going to write a paper sitting on the edge of the mat so she can watch Nogi and
Yes.
still take some notes
Yes.
while rehabbing something?
Her knee. Yeah.
You know,
is
so
that
it's
not
like,
crazy?
What kind of dedication is that?
That's crazy.
Awesome.
That's crazy.
She hurt her knee, and she's not even
anyway.
she's not supposed to be here. She came in last night with it wrapped up. She couldn't even walk, and she sat on the edge of the mat. And then today she comes in, and she sits on the edge of the mat to do her physical therapy while she writes her paper for college, so she can watch Nogi.
It's dedication.
And let me tell you the scary shit. I coached I don't know how many damn MMA fighters, and if one of them motherfuckers get hurt, they're not even coming within 10 miles of the building. These were pros. These were some of these guys were high level pros.
Don't you think their ego got damaged along with the injury, though?
No, it's never their ego.
Okay.
They don't give a shit.
All right.
They ain't give a shit. They ain't give a shit. Ass clowns.
Anybody in particular?
I don't want to get into it.
The official.
We got too much. We got too much shit going on tonight.
We need him to be the official secretary of Boots to Asses tonight. We don't need to call out names. We have to be official.
It is on our. It is on my
ourselves.
on the fan page. Have you seen that? The
I
new
did
profile
see that.
picture. Did you see it? Secretary of Boots to Asses.
It's fantastic.
It's beautiful. Slick
It's
Nick,
official.
Beats, the dope producer,
the assistant secretary of Boots.
the assistant secretary of Boots to
Yours
Asses.
says secretary. You got to put assistant.
Hey man, you know what? Hey, hold up though, guys. We brought back the Behotch of the week.
Yeah, we did.
We're gonna bring back the Mofo of the week,
All right.
and against my better judgment, it's gonna go to fucking Slick Nick Lacari over there.
Whoa.
This motherfucker, dude, cut his thumb off. Show him the thumb, Nick. Cut his thumb off.
If somehow, some way, we
on
can get
Friday, and yesterday we're in here rolling, and he's on the fucking mat, didn't miss a round, And at the end of practice, I'm looking, and he's like got his thumb held up like this, trying to get the blood to stop rushing from the top of it. And I'm like, man, what in the hell are you doing? It's fucking soldiers, dude. Diane, do you get offended by foul language?
No.
Good, because I like to fucking cuss.
Yeah.
That's not going to change.
I get myself in trouble sometimes.
There you go. Sometimes you got to let that shit fly, man. Fuck, shit, snot, damn.
Snot.
Yeah.
Snot made it.
Snot.
Yeah.
The other S word.
Yeah.
That's a T-shirt right there.
The
Other S word. Breadisms.
Oh.
So it's fantastic that we got Diane in the studio finally. We're gonna have a good conversation
About
tonight.
Damn
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Now, Diane, you do realize this is the kitchen. It gets hot in here sometimes. Okay, if it gets too hot for you, you're just fucking on your own. I don't know what to tell you.
I was gonna say, please be nice to me. I cry easily.
There's a shirt that says, "I'm really nice, but I cry a lot," and I feel as if that describes me as well.
I should have brought my own box of tissues.
I have a feeling that you are on the wall at Piper's right now.
Oh, okay. Hi, everybody.
What time does Piper start?
His classes start at 7:30.
Oh yeah, you're on the wall right now as we fucking
Jeez.
speak. As we speak, you are.
Everybody can see.
Piper, if she's on the wall, please
picture.
send us a picture. So we can get this fucking thing up here on the screen. We got a TV monitor in here that actually works, or at least it did. Does it still work?
It does.
Man, no, the guy don't touch anything.
Oh, whoop whoop. We need to keep.
Yeah, last
we
week
need to
you was
kiss.
touching way too much shit.
Keep it simple.
Diane,
Nick.
you are a well, before we get in that, tell our viewers out there who you are. I posted a little bit on Facebook, but nobody reads my fucking Facebook page anyway. So go ahead.
All right. I'm Diane Steigel. I train under John Piper at Charlotte Jiu-Jitsu Academy. I've been there for a little over 3 years. Got my blue belt a couple weeks ago.
Whoop whoop.
Finally. Yay. So just try to train as much as I can there. Got some great teammates. Piper has probably the most patience of any human being I've ever met, especially if he has to train me. And so do, a lot of the other guys and girls there. So great team. It's where I need to be. And this is like my second home. I consider y'all kind of my cousins.
Absolutely.
I get to.
We're jiu-jitsu cousins.
You let me come here and hang out. And
Yep.
Your dad and your uncle are the two most hated men in fucking jiu-jitsu.
But you know what? I always end up with people like that. I never get to the popular crowd. So
Yeah. Tell everybody who you was with before you went to Piper's.
Oh jeez, Tex Johnson.
Holy cow, boy! You was batting 0 for 3 on that deal. Fucking.
Yeah.
So what's the backstory on Tex Johnson?
Holy shit.
What can you share in 0.5 seconds?
Tex is like my adopted nephew. If Johnny Buck's my son, then Tex is my adopted nephew. Like, man, we used to have some good times, me and Tex on the road, fights and shit. Just things you don't want to hear about.
No, probably not.
Probably not. Fucking lot of beer, a lot of women,
I believe it.
a lot of shitting in the bed.
As long as I don't have to clean it up.
Tex! Don't worry, I won't come up to New York and tell them at Unity. Big shitty. Okay, go ahead. So Diane, I mean, do you get paid to do jiu-jitsu at Piper's?
I do not.
Okay. Well, what do you do for a living?
I am a nurse.
Really? You break them and fix them, eh?
Yeah.
Damn.
So
That's awesome.
Thick thighs take lives. I saw that on some pants.
Yeah.
What is it?
Thick thighs take lives.
Thick thighs take lives. Yeah, Amanda has that on her.
Yep, that's
Mad
where I saw
Mandy.
it.
Mad Mandy.
It's appropriate.
Man.
That half guard.
So tell us, where are you originally from? Like, are you originally here from Charlotte?
I was raised in Mint Hill.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
Right down the
Raised in
street.
Mint Hill.
I don't know why. I thought that when you was training with Tex, I thought you had just moved here. I don't know where I came up with that.
No, I just started. He introduced me to jiu-jitsu, so
Okay.
I just started training.
And how did you meet Tex Johnson?
I was actually a member of the UFC gym in Matthews. I was at another gym for a while, and I was getting like really bored. I'd lost a lot of weight, had got myself in order, and then shit happens in life, and kind of went back to my old way. So I figured I just needed to change up. So I went there. met with him just, to be like a personal trainer, work with me with weights. I always enjoyed lifting. And I was there one day and saw a jiu-jitsu class going on in the cage, and I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And I had kept score for my high school wrestling team.
Okay.
Independence. Coach Bucket. And I always wanted to try it.
Yeah.
But it was still, like, it was the early 90s. Females in wrestling were just not, there were a couple. I think there was one in our district. And I just wasn't at that bold state yet where I could, felt comfortable trying it out.
Yeah, wrestling's a tough sport for women to transit. It took a long time for that to be accepted.
Yeah. So, I said, I was 38, 39 years old. I said, what the hell, it's now or never. And got in there. So, it was, it's always a hard thing to walk into a gym the first time. It's a hard thing to walk into a class the first time. So.
Right. Which is harder, walking in or walking out?
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
The very first time it's tough, but I think once you get over that hump, you're more open to trying new things and
Do you think is it the interpersonal, or do you think it's just putting yourself in a situation that's new?
Probably a little bit of both, but probably more the second.
Yeah.
The unknown.
Let me ask you this: as a female, what was it like the first time? Yeah, because it's one thing to say it. It's one thing to say, "Oh, I'm gonna do jiu-jitsu." Like, most people don't even get to that part. Most people see it. Most people, not male or female, just most people see jiu-jitsu and they either say, "I'm not doing that," or they turn their head to just try to ignore it, and just not even consider it. Okay, so to even get to that stage where you say, okay, I'm going to sign up, I'm going to sign the waiver, I'm going to get in, I'm going to get a gi, okay? But then, because I've seen people go right up to that part right there and then just be like, fuck this.
Can't even walk in.
What was it like as a female for you going out on that, or actually it was in a cage. So what was it like to walk into that cage the first time?
They didn't have gi training there at that time, so it was just no gi.
Oh man,
it was it was scary, but it was like I was determined to do it. And I was really I was more nervous about looking stupid. Because like doing the warm-ups and everything, and then we had to do forward rolls, and I really don't like to put my butt up over my head. I just I'm at that age that I don't like doing that. So and then doing back, and my back rolls are a hot mess anyway, but they were even worse back then. So just looking stupid in front of a bunch of guys that kind of gave the impression that they knew what they were doing.
Were there any other females in there? You was the only one. My God.
Yeah, and that's the thing you realize when you think back, at least in my perspective, when you think back of the things that make you nervous, you realize a lot of the times the consequences are pretty meaningless, really. I mean, you could have walked in there and maybe had some interaction that didn't work out well and walked out, or walked in and obviously as you did, and something caught you and you stayed. But I think we forget that, it's not life or death. You just go in but you're so nervous about something that it just takes it out of perspective. So it's good you stayed.
So now I look ridiculous all the time. It doesn't bother me anymore.
Same here.
It's part of your life.
Every day.
So what about the let me ask you this. What about because the first part of the jiu-jitsu obviously was the shrimping and the forward rolls and all that and blah 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 blah, and then eventually it came to the grabbing and the touching and the rolling. Now, did you do that at the UFC gym? Okay, how was that for you? What was that like?
It was interesting because you get in there and it's like you don't know what you're doing. But we did a couple techniques. I can't remember exactly what we did, but I remember at the end when we were rolling. And we just kind of went at it. And I was with another guy that, I was assuming he knew what he was doing, but he really didn't. So we were kind of on somewhat of a level playing field, knowledge-wise.
Yeah.
And I remember, it was at some point, I got a hold of his leg. And, I was so proud of myself. And I held on to it. And it was it was no specific technique. I was just holding on onto his leg for dear life.
Nothing in the world worse than a white belt just holding on to something because they're happy.
You just hunker
and
down.
I got it, and I was not letting that thing go.
Advantage Diane.
I know. It was hilarious when I think about it now. And then we, I don't know if we reset or the time was up or whatever, and then we started rolling again, and I tried to do the same thing, and he wouldn't let me get. No, you're not getting that again.
So it didn't bother you that the touching and grabbing and wrestling around like that never. Okay. What about you? What was it like with you?
Well, it was different because I just did my first no-gi like a week ago. So I've only been training gi with you here. And that was such a weird experience because it's the same thing. I'm so used to having the advantage of the gi, sleeves, collar, and I say advantage in my small repertoire of weapons.
Yeah. That's my security blanket too.
Yeah. So then when I did no gi, I feel like my brain just stopped. And I'm like, how do you grab? How do you lock onto something? Because everybody was so sweaty and you're just trying to figure it out. I wasn't even uncomfortable, right? Because it's my teammates. I'm here to learn, so there was nothing like that. But it was just funny to realize that you go back to square one in some ways. So I found myself sitting and asking questions like I did, the first few practices because I was just nervous. I was like, I don't know what do you do?
Yeah.
So I guess let me make sure I understand. So I guess day one sounds to me like both you just accepted the camaraderie of your teams, and so that just totally put up a shield as far as any uncomfortability or anything like that. Well, that's good.
I think it's one thing though when you accept that you're going to do a sport like this because it is intimate contact, it's close contact, and you see it like you said, you're watching it or somebody who's doing it before you walk in. So that just I don't say it has to be, but I think people process that in some way, and they're like, okay, well I'm going to be in close quarters, and that's a lot of thing you hear from other people who don't understand the sport or they see it and they're like, oh, you're just kind of wrestling. You're just kind of, controlling them on the ground and you're just kind of really close. And it's like, well, there's more to it than that. But, it's a big part of it. Just in each other's space.
Yeah.
And Nick, what was it like for you first time you had me grab you and just do what I want to with you? How'd that feel?
Pinch you by the ear.
I think you choked me out unconscious on camera.
That wasn't the first time.
No.
Very first time.
And wait a minute. I need you to correct that. For the viewers listening, okay, for you remember my reputation, you did not tap.
I did not tap.
There's a difference. Now, going to sleep and me choking you unconscious.
And the friendship was born.
Yeah. Does Piper, does he choke his students unconscious?
Not, it wasn't an airway choke, but it was a blood choke. And so, sometimes those will sneak up on you. You feel like you're okay, and then all of a sudden you're asleep and you wake up. You wake up and everybody's, are you okay?
Does anything to be ashamed of?
In the rest of the
world. Just watch his face slowly change.
You have no reason to be nervous or ashamed, and we can help you.
Okay.
If John Piper has bullied you, okay?
Well, he doesn't roll with the ladies, so
okay.
Yeah, but there's other. Trust me, there are other people.
Well, I know sometimes it can be. Okay,
we have a sticker on the door.
We want you to understand that, okay? You're amongst friends right now. If you'd like to make a statement publicly in front of the world and talk about how John Piper bullies people at the academy and beyond, I'm a victim of him bullying. He's been picking on me for like the last 5 years, something like that. Feel free. And you don't have to do it right now. Okay. I just want you to know.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Well, I was going to say, usually it's somebody that deserves it. I won't say it was in your case because I didn't see that. But
well, of course.
From what I've seen.
I never deserved anything
I'm
negative.
sure you were completely innocent.
Completely innocent. 110%.
But it's usually somebody that has gotten out of line.
Yeah.
And they need to be put back in line. Or it's right before they are asked to leave.
And see, this is good that right now what you're describing is hazing. Okay, and I'm glad that you're admitting that Piper hazes people.
No, that's not hazing. That
Ooh,
is.
This is called a straw man argument.
This is called keeping control of your school so that the bad guys don't come in and do bad things to your students.
So if what I'm hearing if I'm hearing you correctly, John Piper uses violence to control his school
and scare people away.
And to scare people away.
No.
Yes. No.
He uses technique.
Okay.
To control someone.
Okay.
Who has refused to be controlled.
Oh, okay.
In order to keep his students safe.
Okay. Are we talking about Fight Lab?
That's so wrong.
We
Oh,
should.
my bad. I'm sorry.
We should talk
That's
about
so
that.
wrong.
He's Papa Bear.
We should
he's
talk
gonna,
about
he's
that, though.
gonna, He's gonna keep his
We
his little
can't. We
people
can't.
safe.
We cannot say
Okay.
the word that rhymes with smell because
With what?
the other John.
Who? Who?
It's like
Are
a
you an owl?
like on the beach.
I'm trying to figure out who you're talking about. I don't know who
You
you're
find
talking.
them. You find them on the beach.
What? A shell?
Oh.
Earning this thing.
I'm just drinking a beer and I'm participating.
We were up in the balcony with sunglasses and everything. Of course, he was in his gi, and then he's got his. There, one guy did.
Well, who you can. Did he do the hammer time?
No.
No.
I think he was just kind of like.
Is bless
Boogieing
your
on
heart
down.
not a swear word in Southern language?
It's
Is
a
it?
nice one.
It can be.
The church
but
ladies can say it. It's acceptable. Oh, bless. That's better.
No, it just. I love those guys. I love those guys. I love that they don't take themselves too seriously with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That
It keeps it lighthearted.
Yes.
Which is the spirit of it. That's the point.
Yeah. So I mean, I call them. They're a bunch of goofballs.
Yeah.
John Piper and his band of merry goofballs. That's what we
John
are.
Piper, the pipe doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say, though, just now that you've been involved in jiu-jitsu for quite some time, like just lately, have you had any reflections on what it's done for you or what you could say, how it's helped your life or just anything?
Oh, yeah. Especially, when you get promoted, you start looking back and say, okay, where did I start from point A to point B? I remember attached to the mat, and I couldn't lift it up, and I couldn't scoot, and I couldn't do this and that, and it was just a struggle to do the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And now to executing chokes and that kind of stuff. I know when I first really started going at it, I was really comfortable on top, but as soon as I would get on the bottom, it's like I would give up. Totally defeated.
Yeah.
And when I got injured in Atlanta, because I refused to regard because I didn't want to go on bottom, I was on my knees, and then I got bulldozed over, and then my ankle went snap. You kind of rethink, okay, maybe I should actually start working on my bottom game.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the catalyst for, now I'm kind of working a little bit. I don't just lay there and,
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Working sweeps and that kind of stuff. So.
Well, it was a well-deserved blue belt.
Well, thank you.
I've watched you from the beginning.
Thank you very much.
And let me tell the viewers something, and my co-host. I love Tex Johnson. I do.
Declarations all night tonight.
I love Tex, man. He's my boy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd drive to New York for him in a heartbeat. But man, him coaching Diane, they were at my gym.
Okay.
And he was, she was Tex's only student, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're
man,
just doing privates.
some days I would be standing over there watching it, going, "What in the hell is she thinking? Why is she putting up with Texas shit?" I mean, he really pushed you.
Yeah.
He really did.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of males. In fact, to be honest with you, I had a room full of self-proclaimed killers, and in some avenues they were. I had some tough guys, and they avoided Tex like the plague.
Because of his work ethic, or what?
Because of his intensity in jiu-jitsu. He's one of those guys that when he's on the mat, and it's rather he's instructing, rather he's just talking. There's no casual way for him to do jiu-jitsu, and he's just especially back then. Like he's improved thousandfold now, but back then, man, he was just an intense guy.
Okay.
And I would watch him working for Diane, and I would say to myself, if she doesn't quit, God bless her. She is she's tough. Biatch of the year. Okay, this is before we even had the Biatch of the year.
Yeah.
And she would show up every day. She would come. Me and the other coaches would sit there and watch it and just go, man, he's tough on her.
Yep.
But it made you better, I think.
Yeah.
I really did. I think that it calloused you, and it seemed to me from the outside looking in that it gave you a sense of you can do anything. If you can put up with this and go through this for an hour or 3-4 times a week, you could do anything. Because, I mean, I'll tell you, I was proud of you. I was proud of you to sit there and watch that. Because...
but he never, like, at least for me, and I can be very, very sensitive, he never came across to me as bullying.
No.
I mean, he was, you know.
No. He's definitely not like John Piper.
He made me work, you know, but that's what I was paying him for. Jeez.
I throw that in there.
Get it in.
I was trying to talk past that, but
sorry.
No, you're good. But you know, I was gonna work if I was gonna, and that's what I was paying him for. So, but I remember this one time you know, we were doing, I think it was S mount to armbar or something. It was just a drill over and over and over again, over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden he like paused when we were done doing one of them, and he sat up and he looked at me really intensely. And I just remember thinking to myself, you need to shut up and listen to whatever he's about to say. It's going to be important. It's going to be life-changing. He is going to give me the key to something important here.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and paused and said, do it again. And that was it. I was like, oh, okay, let's do it again. Yeah. And that really, you know, as funny as that was, that is the key.
Yeah, it is.
Show up, do it again.
It is, man.
Do it again.
Yep.
And, yeah.
You know when I realized I was gonna be good at this shit? When I heard somebody say a black belt is a white belt that never quit. I said, man, what the fuck? I was like, man, I've been doing football and wrestling and like, you know, just because you don't quit in there, that don't mean shit. But you mean I can win and get the black belt if I just don't quit? Well, fuck, I'm gonna be a black belt. This is great, and I ain't quitting. And that sounds so corny, but if you laid down the statistics of how many people start and quit jiu-jitsu,
it's high. I bet
it's actually tougher than a lot of the other stuff that you have to do to be successful in other avenues. It's just not. It's even in the watered down version of today. You see a lot of people. I see a lot of people with a lot of instructors that if they would just go through the motions, just pay their $100, $150 a month and go through the motions, they could be a black belt, probably within 7 years, 10 years, 7 to 10 years. They could be a black belt.
All right.
And they could suck absolute elephant ass. Okay.
Big old target.
Just a big old elephant ass. just
can't miss it.
Suck, okay? But it wouldn't matter. They would get their belts.
Yeah.
And they can't do that. Let alone walking into a place like Piper's where you got to show up at Piper's. You got to show at Unity. You got to show up at Checkmatch. You got to show up. Yeah. At Steve Hall's, you got to show up. You know, you can't just go through the fucking motions places and get a stripe or a belt and have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. That's not gonna work. You know, you got to put the work in. And I see a lot of people in these McDojos. They can't even do that. I mean, because it's something to walk in there 3 times a week and get down on the mat and do the shrimps and do the technical stand ups and go through the drills and then light roll, even though you're just rolling light and some. I mean, you know, that's tough.
Well, think about
that in itself is tough.
Think about today, and what do we actually have? Because I remember when I talked to you for the very first time, and I was actually looking into jiu-jitsu for my son who does it here now, and I remember telling you specifically, and you paused for a long time after I said it. I was like, I want to give him something to contend with, because I think it's going to help him, and you just kind of got quiet, and I was like, oh shit, like maybe I sounded way too intense, you know. But I truly believe that just because convenience has made us lazy. And I think it's really scary, on top of like what we were talking about earlier, to try something that actually tests you in a way that is physical. And so I saw how he did with you, and I saw, you know, he came home and he was excited, and I was like, well, why the hell can't I do it too? And me, you know, me and my boyfriend were sitting on the couch and we're just staring at each other, and we're like, why can't we do it?
Yeah. And
now, you know, hopefully it'll be a family affair for us. Yeah. So,
well, for the record, the reason I looked at you like you was crazy, like you had 3 heads.
Yeah, please explain that. Well, for like the first few weeks, he's like, "What do I do with that?" I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, most parents.
I'm sure that's how Tex looked at me. Oh God.
Most parents these days.
Yeah.
They say what you said.
Sure.
But they don't really mean it.
Yeah.
They don't really mean it. The majority of parents, they want their kids to go somewhere, and the parents want to feel good about what their kid's doing. And jiu-jitsu is a game of failure. It's like baseball. I was saying this the other day. In baseball, you know, a good baseball player has what, a mid 300 hitting batting average?
Maybe 285.
Maybe 285, which means, and that's hitting. That's not home runs.
Yeah.
That's not scoring runs. That's hitting, correct?
It's hitting.
So that means they strike out what? 72% of the time.
85% of the time.
Yeah. Somewhere out there, right?
Yeah.
And that's a good guy.
Yeah.
Okay? Jiu-jitsu is the same way. If you're not losing in jiu-jitsu, you're not getting better. So it's just the truth.
Yeah.
You know, and people don't want to see their kid come in to an hour-long class
and lose.
And for an hour, they lose to fucking shrimping.
Yep.
Their kid can't fucking shrimp.
Yep.
They don't want that. They want their kid to come home and say, "Oh man, I did this and I did that, and I submitted this person, I submitted that person. I'm gonna be a black belt in 2 years, Dad. It's gonna be great." They don't want their kid to come home with that look of joyful gloom, is what I call it. Well, did you enjoy jiu-jitsu, son, little Johnny? Yeah. Well, what'd you do?
Got choked.
I got choked by little Susie. And you got choked by little Susie? What the hell? You know what the hell's going on down there? You know, parents don't want that. You know.
Yeah.
But so when you said it, you know, and the crazy thing though is every kid that I have, and I don't have a lot. I probably have the smallest kids class in the world, next to Piper. Every parent told me the same thing.
Sure.
The amazing thing to me is that every child that I've had sign up has stayed.
Yep.
You know, and I don't know if it's because we have cool bathrooms or cool paint on the wall, or it's definitely not because I'm a good kids instructor, because I suck. But I mean, maybe I just hit the golden pot with these 8 kids. Did I say 8? I meant 80.
The coolest part, though, is he's already, you know, he's away for the summer, and he's experiencing a different kids program, like trying to find something to do to supplement while he's away, and he already has a standard.
Yeah.
He already has a standard, and he went to the first academy, and they did a mixture of stand up and some other like kickboxing and, you know, stuff on the ground before they even did anything that remarkably looked like jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking to him on the phone, and he was like, "Mommy, that was weird. They're not taking it seriously." Coming from a 5-year-old
Wow.
who knows, and you could see the effect already in a short time of the discipline it has.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me, I was like, well, number 1, you're 5, so let's not get judgy. Number 2, okay, you got a standard. I like that you have a standard. Now we need to keep it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Hey, you guys know what? This has been a really good, feel-good conversation, and but we got to get down to some serious shit. We got to talk about the nitty-gritty. We got to get down to Trump Daddy.
Aww.
Let me ask you guys a question: how many losses can y'all take versus the Trumpster? I mean, the man just keeps winning and winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. It's got to get old. I mean, it's sort of like watching Piper grapple. And he just keeps fucking winning. You know, you saw the Supreme Court.
What's your definition of winning, though?
Well, the Supreme Court ruled in his favor the other day.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. They did. Excuse me. They did. I thought you were going to talk about his nominee.
The Supreme Court justice retired today, which means he gets another Supreme Court justice pick, which means, more than likely, over the course of the next at least 2 years, those little votes they do are going to be 6-3 instead of 5-4.
The majority of those nominees, because the list hasn't been updated since 2017, are red.
Yeah,
So
man, they're red on the head, man. I mean,
red.
what is the?
He's live right now, by the way.
What
is he
Trump
doing
Daddy
here?
is?
What's it?
Man, look at that suntan.
What is he speaking of?
Something about MAGA in North Dakota, but their chat is going off the chain. It's just popping.
Just the fact that our president talks like a salesman. Still,
He's
in
a
my
salesman.
head.
He's a salesman.
At heart, I
What
get
he
it.
is.
He's a salesman of success. I mean, let's just be honest. The man's winning. I mean, he's winning. What do you want?
Okay,
what do you
Charlie.
want?
Okay,
Wait,
Charlie
you're trying
Sheen.
to bring Charlie Sheen into this?
I'm just saying. What do you guys want from What do y'all want from this man? Seriously, tell me right now. If Trump Daddy could do one thing, Megan, what would you have him do? What do you want from your president? Tell me.
So let me just correct.
You only
that.
get one.
Let me just correct that.
Yes, he's your president. You do live here in the United States of America.
I know. Yep. All right. I'll also say
God,
that
you didn't fall for it. I had
he
a great
can
one-liner.
step down.
Boo.
That's what
No.
he
Is that
can
really
do.
what you want?
No.
Are you sure that's what you want?
No.
Look what we're going to be
want
stuck
Mike?
with.
Wait. You want Mike Pence as
Yeah.
the president?
No.
Be careful what you ask for.
No. Can I restate my statement?
Thank you.
can
Yeah, you
both-
better rethink.
They can both go
No,
away.
you can't say they both. You don't get to add. You know what, man? That's the thing about the people that fight against Trump, Daddy. They like to add stuff. They want to pick and choose. I mean,
I'm not going to pick and choose.
well,
I'm
I gave you a chance for one request, and I'm gonna email. I'm gonna tweet the Trumpster and tell him what you want. So what is it?
I don't want to answer that.
And see, that's the other thing. You guys don't want to. You guys don't want it when it's on the table, when it's laid down. You don't want to take action. That's why the man keeps winning. What would you want?
I would like for him to pat himself on the back a little less.
What? What kind of
He-
damn? What the? Are you serious?
He needs to just focus on his work and stop tweeting about how great he is.
But he has been focused on his work. Everything he said that he was going to do.
Everything?
Everything.
Every single thing.
Well, I mean, he is working towards it,
Yeah.
and you can't say that he don't.
He has changed the course of history.
Okay,
in,
whoa,
like,
whoa,
the
whoa, whoa!
shortest
Wait a
time
minute!
period
Wait a
ever.
minute! Wait a minute! Now let's just all stop.
Several times.
Wait a minute! Let's all
Sorry.
let's step back and let cooler heads prevail here. I know you guys are salty. I know you're upset
No,
because the Trumpster won.
Let me just say, I'm not very political at all.
Okay.
And two,
Yeah.
I have no trust really in either side. And I think that we need to stop this game of saying they started it, no, they started it, no, it's their fault, no, it's their fault. And somebody needs to come in and be the mommy and say, I don't care who started it, I'm stopping it. And let's just get taken care of.
No, we don't get to bring mommies into this.
Mommies
You know who should be
solve
president
problems.
and vice president?
Who?
The Rock and Oprah.
Son of a bitch.
Are you fucking serious right now?
No.
You're serious too.
I am serious.
That's why you don't vote.
So this is why the movie
That's right.
Idiocracy is happening today.
No, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
It's already a publicity.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
gonna-
whoa. Wait,
yeah.
wait a minute.
Popularity contest.
I just want to ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
Because I'm being serious right now. I've heard people say what you just said about they don't trust Trump.
Oh, I don't trust.
Okay,
I mean, I'm not a
okay.
Hillary
No,
fan
no,
either.
no,
Don't give me,
I know,
don't,
I know,
you know,
I know,
don't read
I know.
into that at all.
But let me give you my take on it and see if you can understand what I'm saying. Because I hear people say they don't trust Trump. Okay, I don't trust Hillary Clinton.
Oh yeah,
I didn't trust the other presidents.
Yeah.
I trust Donald Trump. I just don't like what he has to say. And there's a big difference.
Yeah.
I don't see how anyone could say that they don't trust him, because if he has said it, and he has said a lot that everybody or a lot of people tend to disagree with, but he has pursued those things. So if he says it and he's going to do it, then you can't have mistrust. In fact, if he says it, you better believe that he's going to do it.
You can have
what you'd be better off doing is saying, well, we need to figure out a way to prevent it.
You go first.
Well, I know when he first started out, and he was very adamant about his opinion about North Korea. And, you know, Rocket Man this and Rocket Man that, and he was all big talk about that.
He's still Rocket Man.
And now he's best buddies with him. Like,
Well-
he's this great leader, and he's
Well,
this, you know, like.
Have you ever heard the
you
term
know.
bow down? Because I think that's what he said. I mean, I'm paraphrasing it. He called him the Rocket Man. He made fun of him. And he said we was going to send a whole bunch of nice new shiny missiles over to North Korea and level them off the face of the earth. Or you can come to the table and kiss the ring. And the man came to the table. He kissed the ring. So now we can all be buddies. I don't see a problem with that.
We can all be buddies
Yeah,
when
we can be buddies.
he's broken ties with
We
our
can be
biggest
buddies.
allies that we've had
We
for the
can be
longest
buddies.
period
He
of time.
didn't break ties with him. He just said we're not doing drills with him.
It's all because of Dennis Rodman.
Hey,
He started it.
D-Rod is
He
the
started
man.
it.
D-Rod is. You know what's really funny though?
You know what? She's really gotten ugly.
Who? Dennis
D-Rod.
Rodman. Yeah.
He just vogued and we all missed it.
You guys,
I'm sorry.
You guys want to?
Just did
You
that.
know what's really funny about the whole Dennis Rodman thing? I remember watching a documentary where
I remember when he used to be a good basketball player.
where Dennis Rodman went over to North Korea. Did you guys see that? And I thought it was so funny. I was like, who in the name of God would go over to North Korea amongst that foolishness and actually entertain it? And who would sit down with that fool dictator? And ain't it funny that our president would have sat down with him? That's pretty fucking cool, man. Like, I thought it was crazy. I was like, there's no way on face of God's green earth that anybody would ever actually sit down with that dude, because he's a crazy person. But Big Daddy Donald D managed to go over there and sit down and bring him into the fold. He's in the fold now. Your president
is he in our fold, or
he's in
we now are in their fold?
No. He's in y'all's fold. Y'all, like you three, and Donald Trump and the rest of the viewers.
Don't throw shit on me.
Yeah, he's your president.
He's your president too. Goddammit.
Actually, that's not true.
Stop
I have dual citizenship.
excluding
Where?
Zimbabwe.
So Mugabe's
Technically,
Robert Mugabe's like dictatorship, which is 10 times worse than Kim Jong-un's.
I could leave and go to Zimbabwe and be safe. Whereas you guys would be here with the Trumpster.
You picked the worst country to talk
My
about.
dad's Canadian. I got connections in Canada.
You're like the enemy right now. You know that, right?
They did just legalize weed. I might go. I'm just saying.
Come on.
You know, you guys are like borderline committing treason right now.
I am not
No,
in the
we're
military
not.
anymore.
Did
I
you
have
guys-
free will.
No, we're
Did,
not.
okay, that's what they all say until they're in front of that firing squad.
Free will.
That's what all them people messing with Stalin said.
And free weed.
Whoop, whoop. I'm not advocating.
You three.
No.
You three.
You can't lump her in with us now. She's better.
Okay, you two. You two are out of control.
Thank you for saving me. I appreciate
Hold on, wait a
that.
minute. Your
I was getting ready
president.
to start crying.
Your president right now is at odds with Canada.
All he needs to do is legalize marijuana, and everybody's gonna shut the fuck up.
We
and
seriously would make so much money.
Okay, so if Donald Trump
Their
legalized,
president is hotter than ours.
wait a
And
minute,
smarter. Oof.
smarter.
Have a
How
cup.
is he smarter?
Are you nuts?
Are you serious? Are you kidding me?
Well, he's younger, I guess.
He is younger. Dude, Donald Trump's old as hell, man.
Dude, he's like 80.
He never sleeps either.
He's
so he's
close
just looking
to
worse
it.
and worse.
I think he's like 72.
Well, yeah, and he's
thought
been
he
on
was- yeah.
Adderall for like 20 years.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say I thought he was 70, 71 when he.
And he's still smarter than both y'all. Ain't that some shit? I'm just saying. He's old. He's got Alzheimer's probably. He's like fucking on Adderall.
He's a sociopath.
That's
And
why
he's
he's smarter.
still smarter than you guys.
That's why he's smarter.
And he's still smarter than you.
He has dual personalities. So he's doing it twice as better,
Boom.
twice as good, twice as well.
Twice as better.
And
Whatever you want to say.
guys, what are you going to do? He's going to be president in 2020.
I just want a picture of him on my shirt and saying twice is better under it.
Twice is better.
We could sell this shit
this is
out
why
of that
I
shirt.
can't be on here
Hey.
because my brain moves
True.
10 times faster in my mouth and I start saying weird shit.
No, it
No,
sounds,
wait a minute.
it sounds awesome.
More good.
And
He
then
can do it
more-
more good.
More better.
good.
He can do it more good. Oh. So are you guys? I mean, you still haven't answered my question. How do you guys feel about the justice
Wait,
retiring?
don't
and-
act like you're just on the other side
Yeah,
of this.
you don't get to control. You have to be a part of it.
What?
You're part of this
Your opinion
too.
matters too, host.
Look. What is that? This is the difference between me and you two. What is there to have a fucking opinion
You
about?
too? Or we're going to go
Yes,
down that
You
path?
two. You two.
Y'all.
What? You people.
I was waiting for somebody to yell it.
You fucking people. What is there to have an opinion about? That's the correct answer.
See, you can't take away our opinions.
No.
because we are absolutely
But
allowed.
your opinion is irrelevant
It
in
is
this
not
case.
irrelevant.
It is irrelevant.
It is not
But
irrelevant.
let me tell you why. Do you get a vote on who's the next Supreme Court justice?
No.
Can you stop Donald Trump from nominating the next Supreme Court
No.
justice? Can you control Donald Trump putting in the next Supreme Court justice?
No.
Then your opinion is
Actually,
irrelevant.
It is not irrelevant.
It is irrelevant.
I could commit some terrible act and go to prison for the rest of my life and influence that if I wanted to. I'm not doing it. Don't say I'm doing it. So
Yeah.
I could have an influence on it.
No.
Throw it out.
Your opinion is
Don't.
irrelevant.
Mark 4610.
Stop.
I heard her.
I got nothing.
I know you. Exactly. That's my point. That was the answer I was looking for from you guys.
Why do you want us to be defeated? Why do you want to take our spirit and stomp on it when it's already defeated?
You've already. I already told you you've been losing. The Trumpster's been winning. You've been losing.
The Trumpster.
Trump daddy's been winning. You got, and this is what kills me.
What is in it for
Wait
you,
a minute.
though?
Hold on. This is what kills me about you guys.
Dual citizenship.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Watch this. Watch this shit. Watch this shit. This is what kills me. Who have you wrote your congressman? Who have you wrote to the Senate? Who have you wrote to the Democratic Party and said, get this person to run in 2020? Who is your idea to defeat this man?
Well, I've written to Congressman 4 times.
Okay, well, who is your idea to defeat this man in 2020? I haven't heard a single name from anyone.
Okay, so I don't.
He said The
you know the
Rock.
reason I don't fucking vote for the presidential election?
He did say The Rock.
Because it
didn't he?
doesn't
He
fucking
did.
matter. He's only one part of three branches of government.
And then
He's a
also,
stooge.
let's understand.
It does not matter who the fucking
are you guys
president is.
fucking retarded?
Understand the
It does
electoral
not
How did we
college.
get into this conversation?
You did.
How did no. But what did I say to start
brought it
this
up.
conversation? You just said he's one of 3 branches.
You people.
Yes.
Okay,
You people.
he's controlling
Mr.
another branch.
But
No, he can't control.
so let's
another
go to the voter process that actually puts him in office.
Oh
Let's
my
talk
God!
about-
Here we go with the loser mentality. It didn't go my way, so I don't like the way the
So let's
election's
talk
done.
about the
even though it's been
Electoral
done that
College,
for the electoral college isn't
where
fair.
there's 2
even
states
though
that
it was,
didn't vote the
even
way
though
that
it
they-
was there when Obama won, and it was there when Bush won, and it was there when Clinton
It's actually
won.
not very fair when
wasn't
somebody
fair.
talks over you because you're trying to say a point, and I would not do that to him because
I'm being
I'm
mature.
a good co-host.
I'm being mature.
I mean,
being-
truthfully,
I'm just playing.
This is so much fun. I
this
just have to say
particular
it.
time, what was there only like 2 or 3 states that the Electoral College did not go with the popular vote?
Correct.
Okay, so truthfully, yeah, they were sweet. There, I mean, obviously, it was a huge deal.
Did you really want Hillary as the president?
No.
Yes, she did. She did. Whoa.
No, I'm talking to you.
Fuck no.
I have a brain
Hell
and
no.
a mouth, and you
Hell
didn't
no.
ask my opinion.
She did. She wanted Hillary as president because she is a feminist.
Oh, I gotta go. Now you're starting shit. There's a way to be a feminist, and he's gonna eat fries now because he's like, I won. No, there's a way to say that you support women, and then there's a way to say that you're a feminist in a way that's damaging. And I support women. I'm not necessarily a full-fledged feminist. 'Cause I'm not
I
going
support
to
women
go
too.
out and do certain things
I
that
love
are
women.
unnecessary, in my opinion.
Okay,
I really
I'll
like
take
women.
it back. You're a
You should.
womanist.
Exactly. A womanist is a great way to describe
I'm
me.
a lesbian.
You're a womanist, and you're a womanizer. And you
Play Britney
two,
Spears right now. Play her right now.
and you two together, should be ashamed of yourself.
We love women.
Yes, we do. Well, now if I play it, we're gonna get banned.
2
Yeah,
seconds.
you
Like a
should get
second.
banned.
Hush.
The dope producer.
So now I think that we should focus our attention on this magical angel over here that has awesome opinions who is not getting bulldozed by somebody else across the table.
I know when to keep my mouth shut.
Okay,
I ain't stupid.
you know what? I'm not talking anymore.
It's me.
I'm not talking anymore. I'm no longer part of this podcast. I'm taking my toy and I'm going home.
Are you gonna go home and play with your toy?
Yeah, I don't want to play anymore.
Alone or, you know.
I don't want to
With
play
himself.
anymore. And in fact, Regina, I'm kicking you out when I get home because I don't want to be around anyone associated with you two.
Do not get
You
me
people.
in trouble for this.
With you people.
Because you piss her off, you get me in trouble.
Yeah, we
I
don't need
can't
that.
believe.
She's like the
I
nicest
can't
person
believe
ever.
that you, being in the United States military, are a supporter or was a supporter of Hillary.
Whoa.
I went
said
there.
that.
So can we just
I
say
went there.
loaded? Can we say loaded
Yes.
statements?
Loaded statement.
Loaded
Loaded.
statements.
I never said that.
Okay, I think maybe we should stop this conversation right now and give Diane a chance to speak and
To
be
defend
heard.
us because apparently we can't do it for
Well,
ourselves.
no, to speak and be heard about her experiences at Charlotte Jiu-Jitsu Academy with John Piper bullying people, like we were talking about earlier. I think that's the. Is anyone from
I have no
Jeff
comment.
listening?
If you have a, well, I was gonna give him my phone number, but that's probably not a good idea.
Don't blast that out on the internet, Nick.
You know, I'm doing a intermittent fasting, and because I'm on here with you guys, I'm messing it up right now. I've had hot wings, I've had fries, and I'm about to have a man beer
Here we go.
Amen.
because of you
No,
guys,
you're drinking piss water, just so everybody knows.
because of you people.
Cheers.
Because of
I'm
you
doing the
people.
same thing. I'm ruining it.
Diane is drinking straight vodka on ice.
Don't let her think that those giggles are just simply because of water, people.
She's not a nice person. She's very mean.
So mean. My goodness. I've seen her across campus.
Oh yeah, you two work together, don't
We
you?
do. That was a fun thing
So
to
tell
figure out.
us about that.
Well, we both work at Queen's University. And the funniest thing was I saw on her Facebook feed something going on. And I was like, is she just there in the middle of the day
Just
hanging
random.
out?
Yeah.
And then I realized, no, she actually works there.
You work at Queen's University, hey?
Yeah.
Queen's University.
Keep repeating it. It's on my Facebook page. It's public knowledge.
You have a Queen's class, sir.
Let's tie it
Which
all
she
together.
happens to be a part of. by
I
the way.
love that class. It's my favorite one.
See? That's what you see, now if we said that, what if I had a King's class?
You do.
What if I said that I worked at King's Jiu-Jitsu, and I said that King's class was my favorite class.
According,
do you know what everybody would be flipping out right now?
According to Mick, you do have a King's class.
Mick doesn't count. Mick, stop saying shit, man. Damn.
So
Diane,
you should proudly advertise that.
Dan, you're more than welcome to come to the 6 a.m. class.
Exactly. Our class is open. Exactly.
Do you see that face?
Wait a minute. Our class
That is way too
open.
early in the morning for me to
Our class is open to all genders.
Hold on.
And all races.
Hold on.
Yep.
Huh?
I have a comment.
What?
I have no excuse other than pure dog cuddling laziness as to why the hell I haven't made it to 6 a.m. class. And I'm trying.
That's sad.
It is.
My excuses have no
It's tough
merit.
to get out of a bed that early in the morning
And
with
he's
dogs.
like 60 pounds, and he's so nice.
Oh, he's so
He's
warm.
warm.
She calls him Aaron, pets his head.
Stop right now. It's creepy. I miss you.
So, I mean, how all kidding aside,
Sidetrack.
how is that okay? How do you? I mean, seriously.
So we're allowed to push buttons, right? So you gotta keep it rolling. I guess you can't handle it. Can't handle it from this side of the table. I don't know.
Ooh, no, she did. I did. No, she didn't.
There's something to, especially in, I'll say, a male-dominated sport, a male-dominated industry, a male-dominated situation. There is something to say that it's a good place to go for commonality and camaraderie, right? And having that female class is only going to encourage people, I think, to have a good base. And then on top of that, you're going to learn things specifically that women are built differently. I'm not going to say every movement is going to be different for a woman. We tend to be a little bit more flexible. But it's good to have that source of information, right? Because then, I mean, for me especially, I'm not going to talk for anybody else, builds my confidence. So when I do go in with an opponent or our own teammates that are huge in comparison to the women I roll with, I have a good base of understanding to know I can do it. It's not a direct comparison. It's just a beginning to continue, what I want to learn. That's why I think it's a really good thing to have. But we, it's an advocated thing. We asked for it. We got it. If men ask for it,
you buying
maybe
this?
you'll get it.
I am. Well, I mean, it sounds good.
I will say I think it will help to bring in women that may not have come in otherwise.
Exactly.
They're probably going to be more comfortable talking to, asking questions, doing the techniques, especially if they come from, have negative experiences with men in the past.
Yep.
Jiu-jitsu is
if it was advertised, maybe. Yes.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is pushed as a form of self-defense, and it is. And so, we try to get the word out to people. You gotta try this stuff. You gotta try this. It's awesome. And a woman hears about it and then comes into a gym and sees nothing but 200, 300-pound guys,
Tall,
sweaty, and
That's your gym, by the way. We don't have those at my gym.
we got little people too.
Yeah.
We have a lot of big people, but we
you
got
a lot of gorillas
But
over
I
there.
will say I love the guys that I train with.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are high caliber human beings. I love my big people. That's the group that I tend to be with during like Shark Tank Day and things like that. I have all good things to say about them, but
Yeah.
I will say there are some women that would walk in and go,
Well, let me ask
They've
you.
got to be out of their freaking mind. But if they come in and say, okay, there's, all these women, it would be more of like a thought process coming from empowerment, going, oh my gosh, I think I can do this.
Absolutely.
And then, as Megan was saying, okay, you do the women's class for a while, and then you get your confidence up and say, okay, well, let me go to another class where it's mixed or open mat or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a growth process.
Yeah, but it doesn't work that way.
Okay. How does it not work that way?
I don't name me one person that's came into this school that went through that process.
Well, I mean, we're talking a specific example of our school, right? And it's small right now, so we can't really necessarily say what anybody's experience was.
Right.
I will say I've heard that from women's grappling
Yeah.
groups online. That I have heard that story. That's what they've done.
That's how they got started.
Yeah, we just
Really?
we just we got a gym
Or they
full of
say, I've
killers.
only done
So-
the women's class. What do you all like? Getting our opinions. I want to try another class. What do you
How do you
think?
think I
but
should
I'm nervous.
transition?
But I'm because I'm small and they're all big and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
that makes sense.
I mean, I was kind of pushed. I don't want to say pushed into the situation, but we don't have a women's class. There's a handful of ladies that train there.
well, let me
And
ask you
so
this.
there's many times-
Why don't your ladies at your school come to this women's class if it's for women's empowerment?
It depends on excuse me, their schedules.
Yeah, timing.
Sometimes they can't get to class. Even the 7:30 class, sometimes they can't get there on time because of work or family obligations. So I would have to talk to them.
Have you ever invited them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But I'm, I can be kind of lazy with coming here myself, so I really can't stand in judgment.
Well, I mean, you've been here.
I mean,
You've been here a lot.
Yeah.
I come. I could come more often, but like I said, sometimes that's just out of laziness.
Well, that's not. No, you're not a lazy
and,
person at all.
But it's just females are different.
And that's
that's not to say that we don't want to be equal, but equal does not mean identical.
exactly.
So, and we are the way that girls are kind of raised, like from the beginning, is that we are responsible for our own safety. Like we are responsible for making sure we stay covered up, making sure that we, are aware of our surroundings. It's all on us. And so we have that mentality.
Yeah. It's
I have to disagree with that a little bit because I was always.
I mean,
brought
you
up-
would know. You was definitely a girl raised up.
No.
I'm sure you know more than that.
I'm just saying that being brought up is that we were always taught to respect women and
Well,
that
and
you're always-
protect,
and
right?
Protect.
And
but
not
that's
everybody.
that's not the female perspective though. Is like you still have to contain and maintain yourself, right? And
If something happens,
Yeah.
it always come back to what were you doing? What were you doing there? What were you wearing? Why were you
What were
talking to
you-
that person?
usually, what were you
Don't,
wearing is the first question.
Don't talk to strangers.
Well,
that's
that's
what you get.
That's because other people
you know.
weren't raised the same way to have the same way of thought.
But well, it also depends
About
on who's
females.
asking the question too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
True.
if it's a police
Very
officer,
true.
they've got to figure out what the fuck happened and what was going on.
So it's
and-
very logical and literal there.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
but that's the difference between being subjective and objective.
and we have a very hard time being objective, I feel like, these days with women. And I would say, I'm saying this in such a generic way, but to be able to understand the differences and not see the differences as a negative is the one thing that I would say, going back to what we wish we could have in leadership and perception and everybody's perspective, is just accept those differences. They don't have to be a negative. That's just, we are different biologically, and that's a good thing. We balance each other out. So it doesn't have to be she's small and she can't help herself and we're big and we have to protect her. It's just, we have these advantages, you have these advantages, let's work together as a team. But
Thank God you're different biologically.
I know, right? That'd be weird. And no, that doesn't mean anything. I will disclaimer that.
Nick.
No, Meg.
So me and you had a conversation a couple weeks ago about the Me Too movement, and it was a brief conversation. Not going to go into the particulars because I don't even want to go down that road about the person or any of that stuff. But our viewers and me, because I thought I had a pretty good grasp up until last week on how people look at women and sexual assaults and things of that nature. And then I found out that I'm a blundering idiot who lives in a bubble that and I have no clue how people think. I've always thought that it was just common sense that things of that nature was wrong, and once it was said and done, that was it, and people got punished and whatnot. And I found out that, like I said, I live in a bubble, my own little world. And everybody doesn't think literal like me. Explain to me, to myself, and everyone listening, and both of you, exactly what the Me Too movement is, and how it, from your both of your perspectives, is important.
Well, it was a movement that started years ago. It did not start with Rose McGowan. It started with a woman, and I did have it here because I was afraid I was going to screw up her name, but it was Tarana Burke that started it. And she noticed in her community that women and girls, people of color, were hiding the secret. And it's not unusual with sexual assault, sexual abuse for that to happen in any community, but it was a big problem for her community. And she wanted to start something that would allow these women to come forward and to not feel shamed. And when you say something like Me Too, and I'll, from my personal experience when I've, went through my assault, and the nurse in the emergency room told me, it makes a difference when someone can look you in the eye and say they understand, and they do because they've been through it too.
Yep.
And so I think it kind of gave them a community to do that, and a way to do that. And I will say, every time that I've come out and said, I was sexually assaulted and raped, it has less of a control on me. It's not a shameful thing that I'm hiding, that I am now taking responsibility for. That's not my shame. That's his shame.
Yep.
And that's what this does, is it helps people to, one, not have that horrible thing that happened to them have such a control on them. They can kind of come out of the dark and say, and claim their life back. It's empowering. It's empowering. And there are people that are out there that have lived with this kind of thing for decades and have never told anybody. And if it helps them to maybe seek out help and deal with it, and, a lot of these people have issues with food, alcohol, drugs, all of these things that you do to deal with your pain that they've never dealt with because of this. And the Me Too movement, when you see something like that online, especially from celebrities or, other things like that, other people, you kind of get a grasp of how big of a problem it is. Because you could look up statistics, and that doesn't even come close to the reality.
No.
Because there are so few assaults that get reported. And in men, it's even less. So, I think it's doing a great job of bringing people out, from the shadows.
So it's a tool of coping, a tool of awareness, a tool of empowerment. It's a multifaceted movement and idea.
Yeah.
It's not
because we can't even begin to deal with the problem until, one, we can define it, and two, we can understand how big of a problem it is.
Well, let me ask you this. Well, and again, I don't want to say any names online, please.
Mm-hmm.
But the person that we were talking about that you was asking me,
and he's not alone in his opinion.
Okay, well, obviously he has a problem with the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see his opinion on that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah,
I didn't ask him.
Yeah.
But tell me what's his opinion of it? Because like for me, for me, okay, this is where I get lost, and again I think of things literal. To me, the Me Too movement is people, not necessarily females, but being realistic, mostly females. But it's a way, like I said, it's a tool of awareness. It's making people aware that this is happening.
Right.
And it's also a tool where if it's happened to me and I say me too, you know you're not alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So to me,
because I will say this, because when it happened to me, I was already a nurse. So, I mean, I had full understanding and comprehension intellectually that I was not the only one that this happens to.
So if
and I'm not the first one, and I won't be the last one. But mentally and emotionally, I felt so isolated. Like, you know, I was no longer the same person. I felt like my soul had been murdered. Like, that's how deep it goes.
So can I ask you? I know this is going to probably get sensitive, but this is.
well, I didn't get to ask what I was going to ask first.
Well, let me ask.
He's
this,
gonna
and
keep
then you
going
can
anyway.
ask.
I mean, I still haven't got. I'm just saying, I didn't get to ask what I was going to ask.
Still
Sorry,
go
and
ahead.
I was rude and interrupted him. So.
Well,
So you're still not going to let me ask what I want to ask?
go ahead.
Okay. So this person, what was his opinion?
His opinion is that the Me Too movement doesn't, quote unquote, do anything.
Okay.
And so, I can understand people's opinion of that doesn't really have, if they don't really have a full understanding
Or
of,
a personal experience to tie them to that.
you know, of rape, sexual assault, sexual abuse, you know, sexual violence.
What do you mean? What do you mean it don't do
to-
anything? What?
And I think from his standpoint, he's thinking more about, like, actually, you know, helping women, like the that was my, you know, that was my take on our interaction about it.
Yeah.
And that I think he was wanting action.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he wanted to see, okay, you know, what does this do? Okay, people are saying Me Too. Now they're going to, you know, write their congressman or whatever and get laws changed, and they're going to come and they're going to learn how to defend themselves, and, you know, step one, step two. You know, I think he wanted something solid to say, okay, this is what the Me Too movement is doing. But I think that he was just, I just don't think he was aware of all this other stuff.
So he was looking at it strictly as a political movement. So in other words,
I don't know if it was political, but I think he just
Actionable.
thought it,
actionable.
Yeah.
So he doesn't understand the empowering or the emotional effect that
like,
it can have.
Yeah, and I was trying to explain that to him.
Yeah.
And he.
Well, you're talking to a gorilla. I mean, fucking gorillas don't.
And I can see, you know.
Why? It's the truth.
Why people.
I know
some
this
people
guy,
would
yeah.
feel that way because, you know, oh, you're just putting a hashtag out there. What does that do? That doesn't do anything. Well, you know, now we have Harvey Weinstein facing charges. You know, where. What, a year ago that would have never even happened.
Nope.
You know, people's careers, you know, are now being seriously affected.
Yep.
Because people are coming forward and saying, this person did that to me, this person did that to me. And as soon as one person comes out, and then you have all these other people saying, oh my God, I wasn't the only one.
The thing that I really that like hurts my heart when I see this happen, though, that is just meant to discredit the forward progress that this has done, is there are situations where this is used incorrectly or used falsely. And that's the part of it that I really, really wish would not happen, because you taint something pure. You know, you take away the power that it's given a lot of these people to come out of the shadows. And no one's here to judge every single situation to see which is false or true. But there have been publicly, you know, several that have admitted that they jumped in line because other people did. And then that is the aim at that point. Like, oh, well, this is terrible because now people are using it for their advantage. And it's like, well, let's take the small number that we know of and let that go. Because that's going to happen with any change, with any movement. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be somebody that jumps on the bandwagon. But this in particular, it was very disheartening, because in the same not in the exact same vein as Diane, I went through a similar situation, and it ruined you for years, because you think, I'm better than that. I have more common sense than that. I'm more capable than that. Not that day, not that time. And so when you finally have the ability to speak about it, there's just so much shift in your brain and in your body and in your focus and your aim and how you look at this life that, you never could have imagined you had before. And so to take away that much, it's kind of spiritual, you can't really compare it to anything else, but to take that away, like some people will discredit, online, it's just, it's disheartening.
Prepare.
Nick, what was you gonna ask before you rudely interrupted me?
I was just gonna say, if you wanted to,
usually you say, what was you gonna ask before I rudely interrupted you? But I say before you.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Diane, I don't know if a lot of people out there understand what you went through. Do you want to describe any of that at all?
Yeah.
You don't have to.
No, I'm up for that. So I had a person knock on my door one evening, and when I answered it, he pulled out a gun, had a mask on, everything, brought me back into my house, sexually assaulted me, walked me up to my bedroom, and ended up raping me on my bed, and then left. He tried to, I think his plan was to kidnap me and bring me to the bank, because he kept asking for money. Where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? And so he ended up, when we were going out the back door, as he was trying to take me out the back door, my neighbor, and I still live in a townhouse, but a different one, had his back door like open and lights were on and stuff. So he saw that and he just took off. And so called the police, did the whole thing, went to the hospital, did the rape kit exam, which is a whole nother traumatic experience in and of itself. So it's very invasive. It's very degrading. There's no good way to do it,
and you have to do it right away. Yeah. And that's just the worst part.
And it's just one of those things that it just crushes your soul.
Did they catch him?
So, yes, eventually. Turns out he was 17 years old. I struggled with that a lot. He ended up accepting a plea deal, but when we went to court, he never admitted to what he did to me, because he had done some other stuff. He had held up another woman in a parking lot. He had carjacked some guy. So he admitted to everything else except what he did to me. So that was hard to take as well, because you're just constantly looking for closure, constantly looking for anything to just kind of heal. Yeah. And when you don't get that nice little, apology wrapped up in a pretty present with a big bow on it, it just, it's hard to do. It's hard to get past that. But and I remember having an opportunity in court to speak, and I mean, I looked at the ADA and was like, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I had no voice. I had no breath. I just was I felt like less of a person.
Yeah. And this is also not to take away and or add to your story, mm-hmm. but I think the biggest thing that I realize is you deal with this life in the way you've been raised, what you've been told, who you are, and you build your morals and your values, right? Mm-hmm. When a situation like this happens, you step into a place of chaos that you don't understand. Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, more than likely, you're not equipped. You're just not, because it's, you've been through an experience, number one, alone most of the time. And how can you verbalize that to someone else? And so that was the power, the complete power, is because, like she said, you could look at someone else, a man who's been through it or a woman, and they give you that look. And in that moment of exchange, it's so genuine. You haven't had anything like that. And it's like, well, maybe this can continue. Maybe I can speak. Maybe I can share. And then I think once, everybody heals differently. Mm-hmm. But if you get it out there, you just start to let that shit go. And it doesn't control your day. It doesn't control your interactions. It doesn't control your capability to try new things or go to new places or, you know, be in a similar situation potentially to what could have occurred. And you kind of, you know, you live.
You fight to get your life back.
Yeah.
And then to have, you know, I can't, well, no, I mean, I actually, I can relate. Well, last week, I could relate. You know, you're hurting because of something that was done.
Yep.
And something that was taken that was pure, and then to have some ass clown come along and try to diminish what happened, or to justify similar actions, or you know, that's a tough thing to handle, and I'm sorry that you or any other victims have to go through that.
Well, and it brings to light how much more education needs to happen. And I mean, you know, in 2018, you wouldn't think that this would be an issue anymore, but it is.
You know, some people.
And it may take a couple of generations to get through this point, you know.
But you know, the sad reality of it is that people are assholes, and sometimes, no matter how much, I mean, in 2018, if we haven't figured out now that everyone's equal, I don't know what the fuck is ever going to do it. But you'll still have people today who will look down upon someone because they are of different skin color or different religion or different sex, and we've been educated on that until you can't educate no damn more, and people are still a large majority. There's a large percentage of the population out there that is still ignorant. And
you can choose to accept the information.
Yeah.
Or not.
Right. And that's what a lot of people do. They just choose not to accept it.
But
yes.
Do you think the transparency that we don't actually have anymore, the fact that we can hide as easily as we do, kind of pushes us to a point where we easily feel like we are better, or, you know, we can say these harsh things because you can hide.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't necessarily know what kind of education do you do now, because that can tie into, you know, what kids are experiencing with bullying online. Like, I wouldn't know what to do with that. That wasn't a normal thing, but it's a real issue along with everything else, and that's a really scary part of it too. Is how do you attack somebody who isn't there?
Well,
really,
and it's kind of, you know, it's just the different side of the same kind of coin, because, you know, with the Me Too movement, and people reaching out and people sharing their stories online. I mean, that's kind of, you know, a somewhat safer way to do it, where you don't really have to look people in the eye, and say it, but you're gonna get that negative pushback from it, from people that think, you know,
oh, you're just another story, or that's not real, or you're over exaggerating.
Yeah. But you know, what were you doing there to begin with?
Exactly.
Why did you open your door when you didn't know who was on the other side? Like, you know, what, you know, when you saw he had the gun, why didn't you just shut the door? Like, what, you know?
When you saw he had the gun, why didn't you shut the fucking door? Please tell me something. No one said that, did they? Somebody said that? A breathing, logical human being made that statement.
Police officer
said
supposedly.
That. Why didn't you shut the door when you saw he had the gun?
But we also had, I read this in an article somewhere. A judge actually asked a rape victim that was on the stand or something, that why did she try just keeping her legs closed? A judge.
Yeah.
You know, we've got the judge in the Brock Turner case that handed down his bullshit sentence when he had 2 witnesses.
Yep.
2 eyewitnesses.
The what case?
The Brock Turner case, the college swimmer that raped the unconscious woman behind a dumpster.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and what did he get sentenced to?
Basically time served.
Yeah.
And didn't it?
It was like, it was something about was it months or
it
I
was
can't
like
remember exactly.
I thought it was a bit like 2 months or something
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
short.
Wasn't they asking for a sentence to be a misdemeanor or
Yeah, they were trying to bring down the
yeah.
level as well.
And
Yeah.
they always do,
And it was
yeah.
the
to where
the-
he could swim in college? Or
yeah,
Yeah.
it was the
Yeah.
parents' influence because it would ruin
Did they
his
do it?
athletic career. No,
Mm-mm.
I didn't. They didn't bring down the level of charges,
Okay.
but he did have time served.
Yeah.
What was your attacker? What was he sentenced to?
Second degree rape, sexual assault, kidnapping. For me, I think those were the only three. And the kidnapping charge carries more than the rape charge does.
So how long was he sentenced to in prison?
His range was 11 to 17 years. He got credit for time served. I think it ended up being like 11. It ended up being 11 years.
11 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that justifies what happened?
Like, did he pay his debt to society? Did he pay his debt to me? Or
Yes.
No, because he's been arrested several times since then for other crimes. So,
Well, there was nothing that was
but-
going to go on in there that
and
was
the-
going to change
yeah,
who he is. Or what.
and and really nothing is going to make up for that. Nothing's going to, no, it's just a matter, the sentencing is just a matter of keeping a dangerous person off the streets, keeping the community safe. That's what it's about. It does nothing to help heal. It does nothing,
Yep.
in terms of, I guess it gives you a little bit of a sense of justice, but,
There is no. I'm a weird apple on this. I believe in the justice system as far as the process.
mm-hmm.
I don't believe that the justice system is fair in any form, fashion, or shape as far as rectifying the crimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe, for example, did you listen to our podcast last week?
Mm-hmm.
The entire thing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But, last week someone said, that Bill Cosby shouldn't go to jail. And my immediate response was basically something along the fact of, are you fucking retarded? Of course he should go to jail. Now, I didn't just say that because of what he was convicted of. If he had been convicted of murder, my response would have been, well, of course he should go to jail because he's been convicted. That's how the justice system works. For somebody to say he shouldn't go to jail on that type of charge is, to me, is just ludicrous. But from my experience in this type of thing, and I won't go into detail because it's personal and it deals with family members, but I'm a firm believer the only thing that rectifies things like this is vigilante justice. I'm not laughing.
No, I laugh. I laugh because it's just nice to hear that.
You do need to quantify what you're about to say because we've had this conversation, but just keep that in mind when you say what you're about to say.
Well, first off,
Censorship. He's tone policing you.
Okay. Censorship.
I'm just kidding.
Oh. Anyways, if I could go back and do my family situation again, I would have killed the son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And just for public record, I'm still considering it. The only thing that stops me at this point is as time has passed, it may cause more harm than good to my loved one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, I wish I'd never fucking listened to the family members and the police and well, your family
And then
member.
you'd be in jail for murder.
And I would feel
Your family would suffer.
And, hold on. And I would feel so fucking good. And I can honestly say that my loved one, though they may miss me, I would have to say that there's a piece of them that would feel better knowing that fucker is gone off the face of this earth.
Yeah.
As opposed to some bullshit sentence handed down by some bullshit judge and some bullshit district attorney who doesn't really give a fuck because they got a caseload so goddamn big that they can't even go to sleep at night and so they just push it out of the way, and then they fuck something up, and for whatever reason, our society doesn't take this very seriously. 11 years, which is way more than my family's assailant got.
Oh, and some
times 10.
Yeah, I mean some
times 10. And no offense to you, in our situation, if you ask people to put it on a scale, what happened with us? A lot of people look at it and go, "Well, man, that is good God, what the hell?" But I hear 11 years, and I say to myself, when I hear 11 years, I cringe. I'm like, why is that fucker's not underneath the prison? Why was he not? I know why. Of course, I know why he wasn't executed. But because our society's retarded. But why is he not underneath the fucking prison? Because if there's one crime that you can rest assured that if it happened once, there's a good chance it's going to happen again, it's that.
Yep.
Somebody might kill somebody. Somebody might have a fit of anger. Hell, fucking OJ may never fucking kill again.
We'll find his other glove at some point.
Well, actually, wait a minute. Remember, I believe in the justice system. He's not guilty. So, but anyways, going back, it's our society doesn't take it. I mean, I guess last week, Nick was calling the podcast to a halt. We was done. And he accidentally was looking at he was looking at the prior week's notes when we were talking about having you on here.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so he was looking at the week or 2 weeks before his notes, and he said, "Oh, well, we got one more thing. We got the Me Too movement." And everything in my head said, "Just stop this right now." But our guest said, "Oh, I got something to say." Me living in my bubble assumed
it would be in your mind frame. It would be in your thought process.
This is just common sense. Yeah. but it's not common sense. When you've got people saying Bill Cosby shouldn't go to jail, and he's already been convicted, and you know that the underlying reason they're saying he shouldn't go to jail is either because A, because he's black and they're black, or B, they like the fucking Cosby Show, our morals are fucked up. Our morals are gone.
But here's to go to show you that the reason why these conversations need to happen is because you get to hear other people's views, even though they may not be right in your mind. We have to allow the conversation to happen.
Absolutely, and that's the key that I feel like we can't. That ties into earlier. I feel like we can't do a lot of this stuff because people are not equipped to have conversations about things that make them uncomfortable. Maybe they don't understand because they don't want to look stupid.
Right.
And it's easier to hide because why participate?
Yeah. And
it just, and even in a situation that you're in where there was a completely different opinion, there obviously is some, there are times where you do need to stop it because it's getting out of hand. But to have challenging conversations like that it's rare. It is.
And we need to have them more often.
Yes.
I honestly think, and that's why I think when we have the discussion about should the podcast continue, I think it should, because it brings to light both sides of the coin.
Let me ask you a question, Diane. You listened to the full podcast last week. Okay. Was you as disappointed as I was that last hour to hear someone have those opinions? Or did you expect it?
I was disappointed, but not surprised.
You wasn't surprised?
Not at all.
Man, I must be a fucking naive son of a bitch. Really? You wasn't surprised?
No.
Really?
You got to look at people for the fact that they're varied. Yeah. And the fact, too, that they're going to present to you, at the time and place of the conversation what they feel is going to be best for that, right? Which is not necessarily who they truly are. So maybe at that point he was comfortable and was like, I'm just going to say what's up, but
it's that same mentality that's out there that is, okay, why are they going out and getting drunk? Why are they going back to the hotel room? Why are they doing
there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that in that conversation. There was a lot of that.
Yeah. And so, rape is rape is rape is rape is rape. If you are in the middle of having sex and one party says stop,
just
you stop. Anything else beyond that point is rape.
Yeah.
If you are having,
Can you say that again, please?
If rape is rape is rape is rape is rape. If you are having sex with someone and one person in that party of however many, says no, stop. That's it. Yeah. It's not that difficult a concept.
Nope.
Let me ask something on the podcast.
It's common sense.
Do you back to the podcast last week? Because I immediately the next morning made Nick take the podcast down. Do you think that we should have kept that podcast up? Do you think that is something that people should be able to go back and see and listen to, or do you think that?
I mean, it's
honest
fine.
opinion.
I mean, it's fine with me. I don't, like I said, I sat and listened to it and watched it the whole time and just kind of taking it in. Yeah. I mean, people need to know that it's still out there.
Yeah.
That mentality.
Yeah, definitely. To take that down, it's in our minds, the commonality that we have, it's not the right opinion to have, right? Yeah. But that's a real conversation.
Right.
And that was
I mean, it can spark a lot of conversations.
And that's the point.
And, and I don't want it to be, let's talk shit about him or let's beat him up. Would not be my point at all. But let's use it as a catalyst for
more conversation.
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't look at me with that fucking look, man.
I felt that way the whole time. That's what that look says.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, he didn't want to take it down.
Yeah. Now, you could speak to another, 1,000 survivors, and they would say the exact opposite.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Now, let me ask you this on his point, because I have seen this, but do you believe that there are? Well, obviously there is. It wouldn't matter if you believe it or not, because there are examples where men have been falsely accused by women.
Yeah. It does not happen as often as they claim it does, but it just takes the one, and then it discredits all the other ones.
Oh man, it's terrible.
Absolutely. But I will say this.
Yeah, the most famous one that I hear and that I've used as an example to my son going to college was the Duke University
lacrosse players,
the lacrosse team. That was holy shit in a handbasket. That was man, you know what? Dirty politicians. That's what that really came back down to. I mean, obviously she shouldn't have fibbed, but what kept that going was a damn DA trying to get reelected.
Name for himself, yep.
Yeah, trying to get his ass reelected. And that was, man, that was a lot. That was a lot of lies fucked up. But at the same time, I mean, how many more can you really name when you think about it? Compared to what's always amazing to me is the ones that happen, they're found guilty, and then people make excuses like, man, the Mike Tyson thing. That one just ran all over me. I was, why anybody would have a problem thinking that Mike Tyson would commit an animalistic act.
But here's the problem: is that more people remember Mike Tyson for biting off Evander Holyfield's ear than for raping somebody.
Than that.
Yep.
Than that.
I guarantee you, no one out there right now that was born probably in the 90s knows anything about the Mike Tyson rape case.
Yeah.
They only know about the biting of the ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some idiot will say, well, and I think, well, this is my buddy, and I hate to keep referring to him as an idiot, but, and I didn't refer to him as an idiot. I'm just saying idiots, but then he did say it, so I guess that would make him an idiot. But they'll say, well, what you think she's going up to the room for? The fuck? What does that matter?
Doesn't matter.
What the hell? Like, you know how stupid that sounds?
You can change your mind at any point.
What do you mean what was she going up to the room for? Who gives a fuck what she was going up to the room for?
I think the point that he was trying to make was that she could have left. Well, we don't know the circumstances.
Could have left.
But just hear me out. We don't know the circumstances. We don't know if he held her back against her will. But his view was that she could have left at any time. We don't know if the no word was said. We were not privy to that conversation.
I think what I understood him to mean, and he once again could mean something completely different, but my understanding is that when you go to a hotel or meet with some guy in a hotel room, you're sending out the message that this is okay, we're gonna have sex.
You're agreeing with the message.
Yes,
is what he was saying.
Yeah.
And hold on, let me say something. Well, I'm married. First off, and I'm happily married. Let me get that out of the way first. Okay. But if I was not happily married, let's pretend that Michael D. Allen is back in the day.
Back on the road
before Regina.
Back on the road before Regina. Okay. And
BR.
and someone let's try to parallel this thing. A famous, well-to-do, big booty, voluptuous.
So now we're getting the specs.
Okay, yeah, we're getting the specs here, okay? Invites me up to her hotel room at 3 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely 110% without a shadow of a doubt, I am assuming, okay, that she wants to do the do.
Right.
All right. And if I hear any one of you tell me that somebody invited you up to their hotel room at 3 a.m. in the morning, I'm going to assume, without you going into any further detail, that you was on your way up there to do the do. However,
that's a fine assumption.
This is where I guess me and my buddy differ. If at any given moment you say you don't want to do the do anymore, that means the do don't get done. That's the way I thought everybody thought about this damn thing. But obviously, that's not the case.
I guess there are some people that say if you say yes at any point, that means yes for the entire time. And you can't take, no take backs.
And I can give a specific example of prior military service. So everybody's got their schools they got to go to and, get qualified to go through. Well, we live in dormitories, usually separated by floor, females on one, males on another. And I was older when I went into basic, so apparently I was mom right away. So a lot of the details that came to watching the females, on our floor or making sure people were accounted for came to me. Fine, I'll do it. And I can't tell you the countless times that the weekend happened, we had freedom. I'd be sitting in that room on Monday morning with all of our leadership, sitting with another female. And there were several times where this was, and this is not saying that this is right or wrong. Their first experience away from home, their first experience doing anything differently, and innocently in their minds, I'm going to go to this party, I'm going to go to this social situation, and things happened. It's not saying it's right or wrong, but, these are the details that get left out. And so it's hard for us to generalize what's right and wrong in these situations, and the do happens or doesn't happen. Right?
How much of this, Nick, this is for you. How much of this is just you fucking men are scum? How much of it is this? Just asking. You're just horny, damn, no good for nothing, low down, dirty dogs. I mean, I'm being serious.
I mean, 100%.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to get your percentage on it.
That's not. And you're being
I disagree.
funny.
I'm being what?
You're trying to be funny. It's not. But seriously, to go back to it,
I'm scum.
It's really got to be. I mean, Nick's gonna throw himself out there. It's fine. But you gotta. That's the part you can't ever quantify because that's the mystery to it, and that's the part that people can't accept because we have to have.
I honestly don't know a male that would invite a female up to their hotel at 3 a.m. that was not expecting
ready to do the do. Got it.
I just don't know one. But I will say this though, I do know this, and this is sort of counteractive to what I said before, but it's the truth. Since I have had a daughter go into her teenage years and go to college, have I sat down and said to myself, you know what? I could see a female going to a room thinking that wasn't the case. I never thought of that until I talked to my daughter, about while she's in college and hanging out with her friends and just hanging out, and it scared the literal shit out of me. Yeah, thinking about that.
Because you're just, and that's not every situation, but you want to be social. You want to go have fun. You don't got to be screaming with the girlfriends on the dance floor being a woo girl. Yeah. Go out and have a good time. So,
well, college students are notoriously known for being broke. So,
but now I will say this.
You may not have money to go to the club. The party, the party is in somebody's room. But
but I don't think anybody. I don't. I have a hard time believing though that anyone would go to Mike Tyson's room at 3 a.m. thinking that he didn't want to do. Yeah. I'm pretty damn sure that's probably what she thought.
He wanted to do the
But that fucker, I just think that he's
Mike Tyson.
I think he's fucking animal. I don't fuck. I don't care.
the thing is that rape is not about sex, and I think I made a comment before.
You did.
And people just need to accept that, and it's hard for people to wrap their head around that idea.
Yep.
Because it's about power and control, demeaning another person. You know, and there's a quote that I quote all the time, and I think it makes it a little bit easier to understand. Like, would you hit somebody over the head with a frying pan and call it cooking? Like, that's
a good
what people are when
Yep.
people think that rape is about sex. That's the analogy.
Yeah.
You know, sex is the weapon that they're using to assault someone.
Yep.
But it's a
and that's why the whole
yeah.
and that's why the whole short skirt, you know,
Why would
being drunk, being flirty, just doesn't hold water. Yeah. Because that's not what it's about, you know.
Yep.
And there are old people with dementia in nursing homes getting raped. There are little children that get raped. It's got nothing to do
with what you're wearing and
with
where you were.
attractiveness or wanting to have sex, or, you know, in that moment, you know, whatever. Like I said, even at the scenario that we talked about before, you're having sex, and then at some point you say, stop, no, not into this anymore. That is then a power move for the person that continues. It's no longer about sex. It's about, how dare you say no.
This is going to complete because I want it to.
Yeah.
And then there's single-mindedness, and there's no consideration for anything else at that point.
Well, I tell you what, this has been a very good episode, very enlightening episode. Diane, thank you.
Thank you
for coming on here.
Thank you so much for sharing and talking so openly. That's huge.
That takes a lot.
Yep.
You, to me, you're a fucking black belt. I'm being serious.
That's what jiu-jitsu does for you. It gives you your voice back. It gives you your power back.
It is.
It does.
You know?
It is. I
gives you your fight back.
Yeah.
You know, I was excuse the phrase, I was breaking y'all's balls about the Queen's class.
Oh yeah.
About the Queen's class.
I knew that. You're a big supporter of that class.
But the Queen's class, you know, that was a large part my idea, and for various reasons. Some that have to do with stuff like this, and some that have to do with you know, I have a lot of faith in the person teaching it, Nicole. But I hope and I pray that every female takes part in jiu-jitsu. Not because, and I guess I can give you an example today. Sometimes I daydream.
Sometimes?
Okay. Well, a lot of times. I live my own
I do not believe it.
I live my own little fantasy world. And today I was at my car. This is a true story. I was at my car today, and my neighbor was walking down the street with her daughter. Well, actually, she had her little baby with her, and she has a daughter that's probably about 7 years old. And I was literally sitting there beside my car, going back in my head thinking of how I need to approach her dad about his 7-year-old daughter getting into my class.
Yeah.
And I literally went through this little role playing thing in my head of what he was probably going to say. And and because I've talked to him a couple times, and he's one of those gung-ho, you know, she's going to be a pro basketball player. I mean, the little girl's 7, and fuck, she's probably going to be like 4 feet tall. But anyway, and I could just, in my mind, I was seeing him saying something to me along the effects of, can you teach her to be a Ronda Rousey? And, or why should I do that? And in my mind immediately, and I almost teared up because I get real emotional about, you know, little girls and you know what you've been through. And I thought to myself, I was sitting there thinking, well, if he says that to me, I'm going to look at him and I'm going to say, no, I can't teach her to be a Ronda Rousey, but I can teach her. I can give her something that might make her walk around with her shoulders held back and her head held high. And no, that won't help her whip anybody's ass, but it might stop one fucking crazy guy from picking her as the target. And I think that's what jiu-jitsu gives, that empowerment of self, that self-confidence. And I think that's so important. And again, it's not going to stop if somebody's got their mind made up that they're going to do something to me or Nick. And they're going to do their best to do something to me or Nick. Some people are just fucked up.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought up that point, because and I get frustrated with these people too that, I mean, I believe in jiu-jitsu. I love it. I wouldn't be doing it this long if I hadn't, if I didn't. But nothing is 100% going to protect you from something happening.
But you're building up the capability.
You're giving yourself the best chance possible. You're putting more tools in the toolbox, and it's just, and you know, the same thing with with having a gun. You know, I'm very, pro. I don't have one, but I'm very pro gun. You know, if you want to make sure that you know how to use it properly and can use it properly under a stressful situation, awesome. But there may be a situation where you can't get to it.
Right.
You know, it's not 100%. And, I've gone back and forth with people about that, as well. And, there's not a damn thing that's going to help you if somebody slips a paralytic in your drink.
Yeah.
And you can't move.
Right.
Yep.
It's just the reality of the situation. And so when you say, oh, well, especially when somebody says, oh, well, you could have just done this or you could have just done that, you don't know the whole scenario of what it feels like to be in that situation. Yeah. You can't know what that feels like until you're in that situation. So, that's about the worst thing you can do. And people mean well when they say that. They think they're empowering you, but they're really not. They're victim blaming.
Well, people always think that they have the solution. When I was a younger man,
armchair psychologist too.
When I was a younger man, my cousin was killed in front of me. He was shot point blank range, and I can't count the number of people that said, "Oh man, why didn't you?" The fuck are you talking about?
Stop the statement before you end
it. What the fuck? What do you mean? Why didn't I? And you do
enough of that yourself.
Yeah, and for the
you put all that on yourself anyway.
And for the longest time, I used to buy into that. I for years I bought into that. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I? And you guys want to hear something really fucking scary? The guy that did it, he ran out of the house, and after I got through with my freeze moment, my dumb ass, in a moment of bravado, me and one of my buddies took off down the street after him. And he ran like probably a half mile down the street and cut the corner, and we was so far behind him, we cut the corner, and we turned around. When we cut the corner, he was gone, and we're standing in front of this house, running our mouths, being tough, kids, running our mouths, and then come to find out when they finally caught him, he was hiding under the front porch of the house
that you guys stopped in front of.
That we were stopped in front of, running our mouth. He could have killed both of us at any moment. But that's neither here nor there. But back to what I was saying. People always think that they know, that they would have done, that they could have, that they. People don't fucking know, man. When you're faced with situations like that. When you're in the heat of the moment, when you're being attacked, when your life is on the line, when someone else's life on the line, when a traumatic situation is happening in front of you or to you, people don't know what you're going through.
That freeze response that you had is totally biological.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is not mental, psychological. That doesn't reflect on how tough you are or how much you loved your cousin. That is that's how the human body works. And you don't know how you're going to respond when you're looking down the barrel of a gun in somebody else's hand.
No. I can't believe somebody said to you, why didn't you shut the door? My goodness. That's in the top. That just hit the top 5. That's the top 5. I mean, usually I hear people say things and I'm like, man, that's retarded, but I've heard a lot worse, but that's top 5.
Yeah.
That's top 5. Yeah. Now, I mean, that probably took the spot of you being open about John Piper bullying people at the school. I mean, I would definitely put it in front.
Only those that need to be.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's, man, when you're dealing with a dictator like that, he's determining who needs to be bullied and who needs to be beat on. You're right. I understand what you're saying.
Only those that bully his students. That's who he bullies.
He's not a kind and loving, gentle black belt like me. God, I'm so glad I have a podcast. I can say whatever I want to. There's nothing nobody can do about it.
I hope we're on the wall right now.
Diane, all kidding aside, let me ask this last question before we let you go. Do you think John Piper's ever going to come on the podcast?
I doubt it.
You don't think he's coming on?
No.
Man, he's my buddy.
No, no.
We'll get him on.
Man, I love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I tell you what, he helped me get through, a time where, man, man, he helped me out. Yep. I love that guy. I'd do anything for him. Yep. That's my friend. Yep. Well, Diane, it's been great. Slick Nick, you got anything?
I'm good.
Thank God. You got anything, Megan?
No. Thank you, Diane, so much.
Yes, thank you for coming on.
It was my pleasure.
And we love you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You got a home here. Okay?
I appreciate it.
All right.
Even if you got a messed up cousin.
That's right.
Every family has one. I'm usually the one for my family.
Take us out of here, Slick Nick.
Bringing us out. See you guys on the flip side.
Oh.